David moves from reflection to testimony. He declares what God has done for him. These verses record his response to answered prayer. Blessed be the Lord, for he hath showed me his marvelous kindness in a strong city. Psalm 31:21. The declaration, Blessed be the Lord, expresses worship. The word blessed means praised or honored. David gives God glory for his intervention. The statement, He hath showed me, shows personal experience. God revealed his character through action. The phrase, His marvelous kindness, describes what God displayed. Marvelous means wonderful or extraordinary. Kindness refers to covenant love and faithfulness. God showed David love that exceeded his expectations. The phrase, in a strong city, presents the setting. Some scholars interpret this as a besieged city where God protected David. Others see it as a metaphorical reference to God as the strong city. Either way, the emphasis falls on security and protection. God showed his love in a place of strength. When David fled from Saul, he found refuge in various fortified locations. 1 Samuel 23:14 records, And David abode in the wilderness in strongholds, and remained in a mountain in the wilderness of Ziph. God protected David in these strongholds. Each deliverance proved God's faithful love. David prayed for help in earlier verses. Now he praises God for answering his prayers. This pattern appears throughout Scripture. Believers cry out in distress, then testify to God's faithfulness. Their testimony encourages others who face similar trials. For I said in my haste, I am cut off from before thine eyes. Nevertheless, thou heardest the voice of my supplications when I cried unto thee. Psalm 31:22. The confession, for I said in my haste, admits wrong thinking. Haste means hurry or panic. David spoke out of fear rather than faith. The phrase, I am cut off, expresses his mistaken belief. He thought God had abandoned him. The addition, from before thine eyes, completes the thought. David believed he had fallen out of God's sight and care. This represents a common temptation during trials. Circumstances sometimes suggest God has forgotten his people. Fear often tells us lies about divine abandonment. The contrast word, nevertheless, introduces the truth. Despite David's doubts, God acted on his behalf. The statement, thou heardest, proves God's attention. God heard David's prayers, even when David questioned God's presence. The phrase, the voice of my supplications, describes what God heard. The expression, when I cried unto thee, shows God's responsiveness. God answered when David called. Our feelings don't determine facts. David felt abandoned, but he was not alone. God remained near, even when David doubted. Elijah experienced similar despair. After his victory on Mount Carmel, Jezebel threatened his life. 1 Kings 19:4 records his prayer. It is enough. Now, O Lord, take away my life. Elijah felt alone and defeated. Yet God proved his presence through provision, protection, and a still, small voice. Elijah's feelings didn't match reality. Peter provides another illustration. When he walked on water toward Jesus, he sank. Matthew 14:30 says, But when he saw the wind boisterous, he was afraid, and beginning to sink, he cried, saying, Lord, save me. Peter's fear made him doubt. Yet Jesus reached out and caught him. Peter's panic didn't prevent Christ's rescue. This verse teaches that doubt doesn't disqualify believers from God's help. David questioned God's presence, but God heard him anyway. Human weakness doesn't negate divine faithfulness. God remains faithful even when his people waver.